Hello and welcome to ET Garage. Today's video is going to be about replacing this starter. Okay, like I was saying, today's video is starter replacement on the 90 Corvette. People who are not familiar with the 90 Corvette, basically comes with an L98 or tuned for, or which is basically a Gen 1 small block with fuel injection. So it's pretty straightforward. Disconnect your battery, unbolt the two cables that go to the starter, and two bolts, one long, one short. Bolts this to the motor, and drop that out. Pop in the new one, and hook up the wires, and then reconnect your battery and start it. The only real problem you might have is if you have to shim this. So far in my life, I've never had to actually shim a starter. I've been lucky every time. As long as it engages and disengages properly, that's what's important. The starter I decided to get was a brand new AC Delco. On Rock Auto, it was actually cheaper than a lot of places wanted for a rebuilt one. So I got the AC Delco one. Comes in its typical AC Delco box. And comes with starting system troubleshooting guide. AC Delco new starters. I do not need to go over this. The problem I'm having is the starter works fine when it's cold. Problem is when I was on a long trip up there to Massachusetts, up there, Cape Cod, in that area there, when it got hot, it would start, but it would start cranking real slow and having difficulty cranking. I'm assuming that's a starter. I can't see any other reason why it would do that. The battery is good. It's got a good charge in it. It's holding a charge. There's no drainage. And when you crank it and watch the voltage, it barely drops. So when it's cold anyway. So hopefully this will fix the problem. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward. Basically jack the car up, get it on for safety, use jack stands, and get under there and, well, after disconnecting the battery, get under there and unbolt the starter like I was saying. It may be more difficult, like I have headers, so it makes it just a little bit more difficult. You got to maneuver the starter around and wiggle it around and stuff until you get it the right direction to get up in there, and then rotate it around into position. If you have the stock exhaust, it should just drop right off. And if you're using headers, you might want to use a mini starter to clear the headers, and you might want to use a heat shield on the starter. I should probably use a heat shield on this. I've had that starter in there for a very long time now, more years than I can remember, and this is the first time it started giving me problems. You know, the other problem I had was last time I installed it, I actually broke the wire off internally on the one nut that the starter wire goes to by twisting it when I tightened it up, and that broke the wire internally, and I had to repair that. And it's been fine since, up until lately. That has nothing to do with the starter cranking hard, having a hard time cranking when it's hot. That's probably more to do with the motor breaking down, components and whatnot. There's just wear and tear. Heat basically destroys. So I guess I'll get this car jacked up and get under there and get the battery disconnected and all that good stuff. So let's get it going. old starter is out. Before I put the new one in, I'm going to compare it, and comparing it, I can see the mounting is exactly the same. The number of teeth on this are exactly the same. And the thing that is different is the starter and solenoid are actually smaller. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. As long as it has enough power to crank the motor effortlessly, that's all that's really important. This will make it easier going in. I don't know if you see me taking it out. Hopefully I got good video footage of that, but I had a hell of a time getting this out between the headers and the transmission cooler lines. This one being smaller will make it easier to go back in. As far as I can tell, I checked the measurements from the distance from where it mounts to the block to the center of where the gear tooth, the shaft is that engages the flywheel, and it seems correct. So I shouldn't have to shim it, I hope. And if you noticed in the video, I didn't remove the bell housing cover. Didn't feel a need for it. If I do have to shim this, then I'll have to remove that cover and check this with the distance of the teeth and all that good stuff. So I guess the only thing to do is put this back in, and hopefully it goes in easier and maneuvering it in there easier because it's smaller, and hopefully it works correctly and has plenty enough torque to power that. According to Rock Auto, this is the correct starter, so shouldn't be a problem, I hope. I'm going to be very disappointed if it is. Very. Alright, I guess I'll get these nuts and washers off, lock washers off, and get under the car and get this sucker together. Okay, the new starter is in. I guess the big test now is to see if it will start. Hopefully it will. Like I said, that starter is smaller. Hopefully it has just as much torque, but let's find out. Alright, it started. Okay, the car is back on the ground, as you can see, and the new starter's in, and like I said, it's noticeably smaller than this one. One thing I did notice is, I don't know if you can see this rubber piece here is starting to come off, and it's probably a good thing I changed it, because that shorted out on something that'd be bad, very bad. How well that smaller starter will work in the future, well, we'll find out. Hopefully when it's hot, it cranks no problem also. If you buy a remanufactured starter, you're going to have to return your old one in order to get the core charge, reimbursed for that core charge, so keep that in mind. Long term, we'll just have to wait and see how this starter holds up. Meantime, I'm going to hold on to this because it's still a good backup in an emergency if I need it. You could probably do this job in like 30 minutes, no problem. You know, as long as you don't have clearance problems with the headers. I think that was the hardest thing, was getting this one out. Was that the headers and the transmission cooler lines being in the way. The new one slipped right in, no problem. There's plenty of clearance. I can say that. It's nice. But I guess that's it for this video. In the future, I got a couple other problems I got to take care of on this, and I'll do videos on that. So subscribe, like, share, all that stuff, or just check back and see what's going on. But in the meantime, everybody have a great day, and God bless.